believe that the sound didn't work. As I went and looked at the video, I found out that the sound wasn't working. So let me try again. Welcome to Workflow Wednesday on Wednesday, January 19th, round 2, because my audio, when I moved to this setup, the audio wasn't configured right. So shame on me. And today, one of the things that I talked about in the silent video that you might have seen before is the Great Resignation and the Great Revolt. Now, the goodness is it's much shorter because it's just me. I'm not going to take the full half hour. But one of the things that I want to talk about with the Great Resignation, or now, many people are calling it the Great Revolt, is two sides of that. One, the impact of the Great Resignation, the Great Revolt for those people that are resigning and walking away from their jobs. What's driving some of that? And on the flip side, since this is Workflow Wednesday, and at Third Era, we help organizations transform the world of work using ServiceNow. What does it mean for employers to look at the Great Resignation and the Great Revolt? And how does the world of work need to change to accommodate workers that are looking for something new? So with that, let's talk about it a little bit deeper. The Great Resignation, Great Revolt. Let me, as I posted in the chat, there's an article off to Entrepreneur magazine. Again, thank you for Kristen Gallagher at ServiceNow. We worked together on employee experience, and she mentioned this article to me as I was doing research around the Great Resignation, Great Revolt. And it was good because it backed up a number of patterns that I've seen. And it leans a little bit towards informing what employers should be thinking about. Because most of the things that I've seen that talk about the Great Resignation, Great Revolt are talking about the individuals that are indeed saying, I've had it, I've had enough, and I'm resigning, I'm done. Let's spend some time talking about that. But the flip side is there's very few people talking about how do employers need to transform the world of work to draw people back in. What's driving the Great Resignation or the Great Revolt? I think the stress of the last 2 years of the pandemic has really done it. It's been a pressure cooker. It's driven a number of different things. One, it's in some cases it's caused isolation because we've moved to remote. It's put pressure on other relationships. It's made people really question, am I really bringing all of myself to this work? Is it something that I want to contribute to? Am I valued? And where that circles back. And the article that I posted with Entrepreneur magazine talked about a longing for meaningfulness. That in this author's research, one of the things that they found is one of the drivers that was behind people leaving the work that they had was searching for meaningfulness, a way that work fits into all of their life, where they can bring their whole selves, as it were, to the workplace. And some are finding balance in life by kind of rethinking family finances and not working. Others are adding some freelance work. So it's not working, but doing a little bit to fit in at the right time to use all of those skills that we have. Others are creating their own business or their own freelance work to do that full time, but on their own shingle. And then I think there's another bundle too, where it's people that have left one organization for a number of reasons that we'll discuss over here and are looking for or have found an organization to join where they are finding more meaningful work. And so with that, let's shift and say, how do we take, 4 million plus? Some have said as high as 40% of the US workforce have resigned. Other countries are starting to see, as the Great Revolt, the Great Resignation happening in our country. It's spreading. One of the things that we'll find is as we start thinking about Workflow Wednesday and the flow of work and how do we transform the world of work, particularly with ServiceNow, and we'll tie this in, what does it mean for employers? And as we're looking at trying to attract new people to fill the gaps that we have in the organization, what does that mean for us? And I think for one, it really means stepping back and understanding, just like over the last decade or more, we had to rethink customer and client interaction, that there's personalization of how we work with each client or customer in our organization. What we're finding is to address the Great Resignation, Great Revolt, us as employers in organizations, to create a structure where work can be personalized. What motivates one employee is not going to be the same as the other. And it's not just about price point. Yeah, we're seeing pay increase. We're seeing benefits change and improve. But many of those benefits are about finding a way to personalize the structure of work, whether that's working from home more, coming into the office at appropriate times. Some are really going to long for that work experience again and want to be in the office. But I think one of the things that we'll see is that becomes much more of a personalized issue. Well, not an issue, but a personalized topic for each employee of what work environment fits best for their life and for their personality. And part of that is creating meaningful work. And the article in Entrepreneur talked about creating a meaningfulness ecosystem. And I like that concept. And so as we think about, transforming the world of work, let's look at the 4 characteristics that they brought up to say, what does it take to make a meaningfulness ecosystem? And it really boils down to 4 things. So first is really that employees, as they join your organization, they need to understand really the vision and mission values of the organization that you're joining. For me, as part of Third Era, we've seen tremendous growth over our first year. And I think a lot of that is really attributed to Jason Moyan and our leaders' vision for the organization. We've said in the ServiceNow ecosystem, there's a gap between the large global service integrators or system integrators and smaller boutique ServiceNow implementation partners. That gap is the ability to have real depth across the entire platform of ServiceNow, which is no small platform. There's so many ways that the platform of platforms can provide structured work. At Third Era, we envision to really have depth across that. We've seen that build up. The other part is having reach across the globe. And we are strategically growing across the globe with presence already there. That vision is what has drawn many people to join Third Era. The other part is creating a culture that really recognizes individuals and that we come with different things, different capabilities, different skills, that not everyone that fits into one job description is going to fit the same mold. And so if we go back to those 4 elements of a meaningfulness ecosystem, the first one is really understanding the objective of the company, the vision. Again, is that something I can buy into? The next piece this author suggests is that our job descriptions as individual contributors, when we join an organization, that job, we should be able to connect to that vision. So that vision is something I want to be part of. How does the work that I do tie into that? You need to have that. The third is a little more challenging. All of the tasks that we do as part of that job, although some may be tedious, still need to tie in. And we say this work that we're doing, and they call it work for a reason. How does it tie into that bigger vision, that bigger objective? And I think the more we create that, we can start to see more meaningfulness in there. The last one is particularly challenging in this remote world. And it's creating interpersonal relationships with the teammates that you're with. For me, in Third Era, one of the ways we've tried to do that, I've tried to find ways to get together in person when I'm in different towns, but also it means turning on the camera, finding ways to connect, outside of meetings with some of the people that you're on teams with, just to see how they're doing in the real world, in their personal lives. And I think that's important, to be able to build those relationships, that it's not just about the tasks that we do, but having a team. There's a saying at Third Era, we want to win together, we want to lose together. And there's that togetherness, that team aspect of showing up together. And I think that's one of the things that is driving the Great Resignation and Great Revolt is people have looked at their work. They felt they could only bring part of themselves to it. They weren't sure that they were really behind the objective and the vision, the organization that we're a part of. They weren't seeing how the tedious tasks they're being asked to do tie into anything. And then also they felt disconnected and isolated. And I think that was really compounded by the pandemic and people pushed into their remote work. There's benefits of remote work, but building those relationships proves challenging. And so I think as we look through it and we look at it starting to create that world of work, one of the things that I think we'll see is it really becomes transformed, that the employee experience really does become more personalized, that what works for one employee might not work for another, whether that's in pay or benefits or just interaction. ServiceNow fits because their capabilities around employee experience. The experience isn't so much brick and mortar. Now it's how are our digital systems conveying the culture that we as an organization want to create for our employees to be part of. ServiceNow is poised with the employee experience, the employee center, to be that key hub for information and for assistance across departments. It's not just about ticketing tool and creating an incident or a request. ServiceNow provides a way to get help from various departments across the enterprise in a consistent way to find the information that they need to do it. In HR, that means having case support to be able to get help across the different platforms that might be involved, from your HR system to finance to IT, whatever it might be. HR capabilities on ServiceNow kind of sit in between that and create that workflow and create that unique experience where we can really ensure that our employees, as they join the organization through that onboarding process, that there's a customized high touch to that. As they work through the career within the organization, those moments that matter, that we have a consistent way to reach out and help them find meaning in their work. And I think that's the key, that as we look at the Great Resignation, the Great Revolt, the reality is that many of those are going to long to return to work, but return to work with an organization that can get behind their vision and mission and be able to personalize and customize what work means, whether that's working remote completely or finding ways to interact in person with their coworkers. We have to find a way to get unique and return to work safely, but also, adapt. And that adaptability is really what's drawn me into ServiceNow is it's a platform that helps us really understand how does organizations, how do they process, how do we make them work more efficiently? In the past, it was we'd have a process that we'd have to walk down the hall to go and find someone in HR, to ask a question, to find a room, to have that private conversation. Now they can all be done online. The efficiencies that can come from that are tremendous, but we also need to keep the personal touch there. And so that's our challenge to do as we see the corner, we turn the corner from the Great Resignation to what would it be, the Great Onboarding. But I'm hopeful and I look forward to that potential. If you want to reach out, I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments in the post. But also reach out and let's find some time to talk, to say, how are you and your organization transforming the employee experience, whether that's just the digital UI and everything that goes with it, or which departments need some help moving efficiency. So it's not just a shared inbox or a SharePoint list or other things, but finding ways to improve that employee experience. At Third Era, that's what we're all about. So again, I'm Troy Pasola. Thanks for tuning in with Now with Troy, and join me every Wednesday morning, 9 a.m. Mountain, where we'll be exploring something else that transforms the world of work, one workflow at a time on Workflow Wednesday. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.